The devastating tornado outbreak across the country, this through the South and Midwest. At least 52 reported tornadoes in 8 states, more than 24 people killed, and that toll, sadly, is likely to rise.
No one saw it coming. A massive tornado tore through Atlanta, leaving devastation in its wake. But this wasn't just another storm. It was unpredictable, unstoppable, and unexplainable. Experts are scrambling for answers. Was this a freak act of nature, or a sign of something far more sinister? As the dust settles, terrifying questions arise, and what we've uncovered might change everything. A city in shock. No one expected March 15, 2025, to go down as one of the darkest days in Atlanta's history. Without warning, a massive tornado ripped through the city, leaving behind a path of destruction unlike anything seen before. Meteorologists were baffled. This storm wasn't in the forecast, and yet it struck with terrifying force. The tornado, classified as an EF4, unleashed winds exceeding 200 mph, carving a destructive path that stretched for miles. Buildings were torn from their foundations, glass shattered effortlessly, and vehicles were hurled like toys. Skyscrapers trembled, streets transformed into chaotic disaster zones, and residents scrambled for shelter wherever possible. What made this tornado even more terrifying was how it struck, without the usual warning signs, catching even the most seasoned storm watchers off guard. Unlike previous tornado outbreaks that allowed for brief moments of preparation, this one descended like a phantom, giving Atlanta barely any time to react. The last time the city witnessed something remotely close to this was in 2008, when an EF2 tornado rattled downtown. But this storm was on an entirely different level, more powerful, more unpredictable, and more destructive. But the most chilling part? Satellite images taken just hours before showed an unusual temperature spike over the city, an anomaly scientists still can't fully explain. Some have pointed to rapid climate shifts, while conspiracy theorists claim it could be evidence of something much darker. Even stranger, multiple eyewitnesses reported hearing a deep, unnatural roar before the tornado touched down. A sound unlike anything heard in previous storms. Was it just the sheer power of the winds, or something else entirely? By the time the storm dissipated, the city lay in ruins. Homes were flattened, power grids collapsed, and emergency services struggled to navigate streets buried under debris. With casualties rising and survivors trapped in wreckage, Atlanta was left facing an undeniable truth. This was not just another storm. This was a disaster that would haunt the city for years to come. Nature's most violent storms. The sheer force of the Atlanta tornado left many questioning how such a catastrophic event could have formed so suddenly with almost no warning. Tornadoes are among nature's most violent and unpredictable storms, but even seasoned meteorologists were stunned by the intensity of this one. Capable of producing winds exceeding 200 mph, tornadoes can level entire neighborhoods in seconds, turning streets into war zones of twisted metal and shattered concrete. These storms are born from a deadly collision of air masses, when warm, moisture-rich air from the Gulf of Mexico collides with cooler, drier air from the north. The atmosphere becomes unstable. If wind conditions are right, a spinning vortex can descend from a thunderstorm, touching the ground with devastating consequences. This phenomenon happens more frequently in the United States than anywhere else in the world, with roughly 1,500 tornadoes forming each year. While tornadoes can occur at any time, they are most common in spring and early summer, when these clashing air masses are at their strongest. The Southeast, including Georgia, is especially vulnerable. Its unique geography allows storms to rapidly intensify, sometimes forming massive, long-track tornadoes, capable of wiping out entire towns. Meteorologists have made significant advancements in tornado prediction and warning systems. Yet the Atlanta tornado exposed a frightening truth. Nature still has the upper hand. Despite cutting-edge radar and forecasting tools, this storm defied expectations, raising concerns about whether tornadoes are becoming stronger, faster, and harder to predict. Was this a rare anomaly, or are we entering an era where tornadoes strike without warning? The Atlanta disaster left scientists racing for answers, and the public wondering, what if the next one is even worse? The March 2025 tornado wasn't just a freak occurrence. It was the latest in a growing pattern of violent storms striking Atlanta. This wasn't the first time the city had felt the wrath of a tornado, but never before had it witnessed destruction on this scale. Atlanta has long been vulnerable to these monstrous storms, and history proves that the city has been in nature's crosshairs for years. Back in March 2008, an EF2 tornado tore through downtown Atlanta, catching everyone off guard. Major landmarks like the CNN Center and the Georgia Dome suffered extensive damage, and the city saw firsthand how even a relatively moderate tornado could bring chaos. Fast forward to 2017 and 2022, and Georgia continued to see major tornado outbreaks, each storm carving a path of destruction through residential and commercial areas. But something is different now. The storms are getting stronger, more frequent, and more unpredictable. Meteorologists are noticing a disturbing trend. Tornadoes in Georgia are becoming more intense, a shift that suggests climate patterns may be evolving in ways we don't fully understand. Adding to the danger is Atlanta's rapid urban expansion. Skyscrapers, highways, and sprawling neighborhoods mean that when a tornado strikes, the damage is amplified. More people, more buildings, more devastation. The 2025 tornado may have been the most catastrophic yet, but it raises a chilling question. Is Atlanta doomed to face even deadlier storms in the years ahead? What caused the 2025 tornado? The March 2025 tornado didn't appear out of nowhere. Its origins can be traced to a perfect storm of atmospheric forces brewing over the southeastern United States. But even seasoned meteorologists were stunned by the sheer ferocity of what unfolded over Atlanta. Was this just an extreme weather event? Or is something more ominous happening to our planet's climate? A powerful low-pressure system swept across the region, dragging warm, moisture-laden air from the Gulf of Mexico directly into the path of a cooler, drier air mass descending from the north. This violent clash created unstable atmospheric conditions, the kind that serve as a breeding ground for explosive supercell thunderstorms, the engines that power the deadliest tornadoes. But that wasn't all. Wind shear, sharp shifts in wind speed and direction at different altitudes, helped transform an ordinary storm system into a rotating monster capable of tearing apart an entire city. The rapid updrafts and spinning motion formed the funnel cloud that would later unleash destruction across Atlanta. Some experts had already flagged the region as being at high risk for a severe weather, but no one expected the tornado to defy predictions in such an extreme way. Could this be linked to larger climate shifts? The presence of La Niña, a weather phenomenon known to intensify storms, was already influencing global weather patterns. Some scientists argue that climate change is supercharging tornadoes, making them more frequent, erratic, and destructive. And then there's Atlanta itself, a city whose rising temperatures and urban expansion could be making storms even stronger. The urban heat island effect, where sprawling concrete and asphalt trap heat, might have added extra fuel to the storm's intensity. If that's the case, is Atlanta just the first of many cities to face storms of this magnitude? Myths surrounding the tornado. For decades, Hollywood has painted tornadoes as unstoppable forces of nature, often pushing science to its limits to create thrilling disaster films. The 1996 classic Twister turned storm chasing into an obsession, while the 2014 thriller Into the Storm captured the sheer terror of being caught in a superstorm. But fiction went even further. The Umbrella Academy gave us Vanya's apocalyptic storms, proving that sometimes weather can be as destructive as any villain. These on-screen disasters thrilled audiences, but no amount of special effects could match the real-life nightmare that struck Atlanta in March 2025. What hit the city wasn't just another storm, it was something far more unpredictable, leaving both experts and survivors questioning what really happened. The devastation looked like something straight out of a movie. Skyscrapers with shattered windows, entire neighborhoods reduced to rubble, cars tossed like toys. But this time there was no CG one, no script, just raw destruction. The line between fiction and reality blurred as viral videos flooded social media, showing terrifying footage of the swirling monster tearing through the city. Some clips even seemed too dramatic to be real, fueling conspiracy theories that the footage was AI-generated or exaggerated. This raises an unsettling question. Were people given enough warning, or was the lack of preparedness intentional? Some argue that government agencies failed to act fast enough, while others believe this disaster is already being weaponized for political agendas. With billions of dollars needed for rebuilding efforts, some corporations and political figures stand to profit from the chaos. FEMA's response has also come under scrutiny. Were resources allocated quickly enough, or did bureaucratic delays worsen the crisis? Critics have pointed to past budget cuts, questioning whether earlier policy decisions left FEMA underprepared for a catastrophe of this scale. Trump suggests states should handle emergency response instead of FEMA. Former President Donald Trump has faced criticism regarding FEMA's preparedness during his administration. Reports indicate that significant budget cuts were implemented across various federal agencies, including those responsible for disaster response. Critics, including former FEMA officials, argue that these cuts may have weakened the nation's ability to handle large-scale disasters. In a January 2025 interview with Fox News' Sean Hannity, Trump expressed his views on FEMA's role, stating, "The FEMA is getting in the way of everything. I'd rather see the states take care of their own problems." He further elaborated that FEMA has not done their job for the last 4 years, suggesting that states should manage emergency responses independently, with the federal government providing financial assistance as needed. Some now argue that this approach may have contributed to delays in federal aid during critical times, such as when Atlanta faced significant challenges following recent disasters. At the same time, another controversy took hold. Theories emerged that the tornado wasn't a natural event at all. Some pointed to ARP, the infamous high-frequency research program long suspected of influencing extreme weather. Others speculated that experimental climate engineering had played a role, citing past weather modification efforts worldwide. In Indonesia, for example, cloud seeding has been used to prevent flooding, with aircraft dispersing salt into rain-heavy clouds. China has also experimented with large-scale weather modification, most notably during the 2008 Beijing Olympics. To prevent rainfall from disrupting the games, authorities deployed cloud seeding techniques, dispersing chemicals into the atmosphere to manipulate precipitation patterns. While these technologies are officially used for disaster prevention, their existence has fueled speculation about their potential for more sinister applications. Meanwhile, mainstream media coverage appeared strangely selective. Scientific explanations dominated the headlines, while local eyewitness accounts painted a different picture. Some footage of the storm mysteriously disappeared from online platforms, amplifying fears of a cover-up. Was this just paranoia, or was something being deliberately hidden? Experts dismiss these claims as fear-driven speculation, arguing that disasters often lead to misinformation. But the pattern is undeniable. Every major catastrophe is quickly followed by whispers of hidden agendas and secret technology. Whether these theories hold any truth or not, one thing is certain. The 2025 Atlanta tornado left behind more than just destruction. It left behind questions that refuse to be silenced. Could this tornado be a warning of something even bigger? If the 2025 Atlanta tornado was a shocking anomaly, scientists fear it may also be a terrifying glimpse into the future. Are we entering an era of supercharged storms, where tornadoes grow more frequent, unpredictable, and devastating? Could the next target be a city unprepared for such destruction? New York, Los Angeles, or even Washington, D.C.? Some researchers warn that tornado seasons are becoming longer and more intense, fueled by rising global temperatures and shifting atmospheric patterns. Others are exploring fringe theories, wondering if Earth's magnetic field or increased solar activity could be triggering extreme weather events on an unprecedented scale. Is our planet on the brink of an atmospheric upheaval, or is this simply part of nature's chaotic cycle? Survivalists and doomsday preppers aren't taking any chances. Many see this tornado as yet another sign of impending disaster, fueling their belief that civilization is woefully unprepared. Their warnings, once dismissed as paranoia, now echo with a new sense of urgency. Are we ignoring the warning signs of an even greater catastrophe? The real question is, what can we do before it's too late? Investing in resilient infrastructure, improving early warning systems, and prioritizing community preparedness could mean the difference between survival and devastation. But are governments, businesses, and individuals willing to act before the next storm strikes? Or will they wait until disaster forces their hand? One thing is certain, the Atlanta tornado was not just a storm, it was a wake-up call. The only question now is whether we are listening. Whatever just struck Atlanta wasn't just another storm, it was something far more devastating and unexplainable. A tornado that defied forecasts, caught experts off guard, and left a city in ruins. Was this a freak event or a sign of something even bigger? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more shocking revelations. Stay alert, because this story is far from over.